Hello, everyone. It's me again from Midnight, the foundation. Very busy. You see me a couple of times. This is the second time today. So we're going to introduce the team behind the Midnight Network. I'm joined here by Aram Barak, CEO of Shielded Technologies, by Ben Beckman, to the far left, the CTO of Shielded Technologies, and by Bob Blessing-Hartley, who is the head of architecture at Shielded. So,
you want to bring the people in the back? Folks, if you want to come forward, free money. Free Bitcoin. I have a 500 Bitcoin USB stick.
Oh, we'll carry on. We're fine here. We're good. So I'm going to start, and I can't read anything right now. So let's. Aram, with people have heard about Midnight, hopefully, over the last few days. Charles Hutchinson has spoken about it. It's a project that has spun out of IOHK, 560 of the funding, several $1 million worth of backing behind this. Can you explain to us and the audience here, if they haven't already heard it from me, what is this session is about redefining on-chain privacy. So when you think about the industry as a whole and the blockchain industry and sector and how we approach this privacy today, what are the biggest gaps?
So I'd like to get back to basics for a second. We want to see a lot of stuff happening on Web3 on-chain, medical records, DeFi, voting, etc., etc. I don't know how many people here would like to have their DNA and medical records on-chain, public chain for everybody to see. No? How many people would like their bank account and all transactions forever to be on the public chain for everybody to see? Everybody can see your salary, every time you shop, everything. No? Yet we all do that today on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Every single thing that we do on those public chains today is public and visible to all. And we have the misconception around privacy because we think we are protected someone through this pseudo privacy of anonymity that somebody doesn't know our wallet address. But the reality is they do know. It's very, very easy to figure out who is who all the time. And this record is permanent. 5 years, 10 years from now, everybody will look back at everything you've ever done on those chains. Will know that. It's time to redefine what privacy means for a blockchain and elevate ourselves through a technology that gives us access to both a public side and also a private side. So we have decision in terms of a selected disclosure as to what we share, what we'd like to keep private.
Thank you. I'm going to come to Ben. Ben, the real challenge in privacy isn't always about what's visible. It's about what can be inferred from what data is on-chain. So how does Midnight's architecture address risks like metadata exposure or behavioral patterns?
Thank you for that, Thomas. So I'm going to add on to Ron's comments. You're living place. So if you go look at the chains that we all use today, there is both transactional and then there's the metadata that goes along with it. So if anyone chose, they could come profile my coffee app. I could come and say, well, it's good, terrible habit, too much or too little, and on which days and where do I like to go? And that's simply just by me leaving breadcrumbs behind about these individual transactions. So there are ways of hiding the content of the transaction. So you can do these kinds of things in Ethereum. You could try to do it in the rollup. You could try to do it as some fully homomorphic encryption methodology. But what you miss is you miss the metadata. So you could still see Ben goes to the convenience store every morning at 9 a.m. and spends, well, you might not be able to see what I spend, but you could see that that's where you're going to find me. It's been shown that that type of information is highly valuable. And any of the large software companies out there that take your data and monetize it, they're not reading your email. They're simply knowing who you're talking to, how often you're talking to, or the depth of the conversation, things like that. So what Midnight allows you to do is it allows you both. The architecture enables you to both shield both the transactional information itself and the metadata that goes along with it. And the nice part about how it does that is it does that by a separation of how the tokens. There's a single token that's the equity token. This is just like all the other tokens that you have used and seen in the past. It's what you can own. It's what you can use to govern the system. It also gives you ability, kind of like a farmer, to be able to generate or grow a crop that you can sell in a perishable way. That item that resource that you've produced, we refer to as dust, is the fuel for the system. Dust is a shielded resource. It decays over time. It's not transferable, so it's absolutely not going to be qualified in a way that might make it so that you wouldn't be able to use it. But it does give you the flexibility to build out smart contracts that can enumerate how they work in many different ways to execute the capability that we want. And those smart contracts can either be private or they can selectively disclose information out to the public sector, the community, or even in some cases, maybe your accountant. You wanted them to be able to see the transactional information because you have a relationship with them, but just everybody else. For the architecture that we built enables you to build out these systems with smart contracts in an intuitive way. We'll let Bob talk about how. But the key point is that you have the ability to remove the signal that you've left behind on all the other Web3 blockchains by using Midnight, and you can use it in a way that's compliant and allows you to selectively disclose that information so that you can build the applications that people actually want to phrase Web3 into mass adoption.
Thank you, Ben. So it sounds like you're building a protocol that's meant to support privacy, transparency, and compliance all at the same time. To Bob, that's quite like a magical, like a panacea to all the ills of blockchain today. So why isn't current ZK technology enough to ensure data privacy?
So if you look at how ZK technology is primarily used today, it's used in things like rollups and from layer 2s to layer 1s, which is a great step in reducing the exposure unless you have a bunch of people who have access to the layer 2. Then they can go see all the data. So it's not really a privacy solution, it's a scalability solution. What Midnight does is it takes that ZK into the core ledger itself. Privacy by design, privacy to start with, lock it down, then regressively open it up. Disclosure receipt. I need to have a particular transaction that has parts visible to a regulator. How do I do that? I can remove a layer of the onion, expose out a zero knowledge proof to a regulator who can say, yes, this transaction was in fact KYC. This is transformative.
Fantastic. Thank you. So just staying on with you, Bob. So you're building this wonderful technology that gives us all these components, protects our data and metadata, opens up different industries, mass adoption. What are you doing and the Shielded team, along with the Midnight Foundation, to make the Midnight privacy-enhancing infrastructure more accessible to developers?
Well, as a lot of you probably know, ZK isn't easy. It's not accessible to the average developer. There are a lot of concepts there that are very difficult to understand. So what we set out to do from day one is change that. We have developed a smart contract programming language, a domain-specific language called Compact, as in like agreement, not as in small. And we have aligned that to probably the most developed language today, TypeScript. So the syntax within Compact is aligned with, so the semicolons in the right places, the methods are named appropriately, all of that. So a TypeScript developer can very easily dive into developing private smart contracts for Midnight Network. Beyond that, we are developing a set of robust tooling to make it easy to integrate with your IDE, whether you're an old school BI guy or Visual Studio Code. Across that entire gamut, we're developing open source tooling for that. And then the last piece that we're doing is we're making all of this available in the open source so that we can get broad community input into what does it take to make a robust developer experience.
Yeah, just to add to that a little bit, I know Bob mentioned about helping out the developer, right? Because the developer is the one that's got to deal with getting the application up and running. But then the interaction with the user. User is also using ZK. Do you think they know how to use these things? Absolutely not. It's exactly the same type of interaction. You enter through your wallet, There's some activity that happens that enables our interactions to go on, but your transactions will move, your smart contracts will execute. You still have the same user interface that you have had over the years, and you can use the capability that Bob was just describing to build out the application that enables the capability that you're looking for.
Thanks, Ben. T-Spot. Aran, I'm going to come back to you. So we've heard about all the capabilities of Midnight, this ability to be both private, to be public, to be different layers of the onion in between. But when we think about institutional adoption often stalls where privacy and compliance seem incompatible. So what would it take for privacy to become a reason institutions and regulators say yes to blockchain instead of a reason to say no?
I think institutions look at risk of getting into technology like any other business. Having all their operational data or customer data be public is a non-starter. They can't do that either for exposure or sometimes for regulatory reasons. You got GDPR that requires data to be private. You got Bank Secrecy Act or HIPAA or other regulatory requirements. And if the technology of the blockchain doesn't protect the data, it becomes admissible for enterprise use. But I think that the key challenge right now is even beyond just the privacy is the selection of the technology, because ecosystems in blockchain today are trying to bring privacy into that, but are not doing that the right way. That's why enterprises are looking and saying, if I can get, let's say, private smart contract as a layer 2 on Solana or Ethereum or Cardano, would that be a choice? The challenge that we're seeing is that they then get locked to a single ecosystem. So beyond just solving the privacy element, we've went out to create operative tokenomics where you can access the technology from all these chains or even using fiat, and you can just pay for transactions on Midnight directly using Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, Bitcoin, or anything else, thereby reducing the fear by enterprises being locked into an ecosystem that they can't get out of later.
Thanks, Aran. So, Ben, touching that dual sort of tokenomics, the cooperative tokenomics that Aran just mentioned, inviting other chains up, builders from multiple chains to come and build. So what are the challenges that Midnight's dual component tokenomics framework solves for ZK technology, particularly and privacy? And how does this differ from other solutions in the market? We understand why build it this way, so you get a subscription model into privacy, inviting everybody in from every audience. We're not tribalist, we are cooperative. But why does it solve ZK privacy issues different to other chains?
Thank you for that, Fahmi. So if you look at how other chains that you may classify as privacy chains or have privacy tokens in them operate, they generally operate either with kind of a transparent side and a shielded side or a completely shielded side. And if you're up with the news these days, you know that in certain jurisdictions, those are frowned upon, simply not available to anybody in those particular jurisdictions. And the rules are generally around, you have to be able to have some transparency about how the transaction works. It can't obfuscate everything. You have to have a way that a regulator can observe what's going on. So those rules were also presented back where I live a few years ago, and they are very similar. And so as we were designing the tokenomics mechanism, we made sure to be very clear and very precise in how the resource that allows you to do this shielded gas actually function. That is the difference. That particular resource is not cryptocurrency. If it is, it's like a banana. Worst cryptocurrency on the planet, because if I give you a banana today, it's probably not very good a few days down the road. Our shielded token acts in the same way. So what it allows you to do is it allows you to take the utility of the system, which is enabling these shielded transactions through the smart contracts that you want, and present that and execute that with a resource that's a perishable, consumable fuel. And the nice part about that is it's absolutely not value carrying, so it cannot be classified as cryptocurrency. The item that is value carrying is the unshielded token, which operates just like you've seen many others. And so when people apply ZK in the blockchain space, as Bob mentioned, traditionally they've applied it as a scaling solution. So there's no issue with the token in that case because you submit a transaction in the clear. The scaling solution basically turns that chicken into a chicken McNugget and then puts that on the chain and recurse it. Our mechanism actually allows you to do things privately. It's not done for scaling. It's done for privacy and then enables selected exposure. And so we have these other, let's say, pressures out in the world that we have to be able to enable this without crossing the line that a regularly might require. And so if you look at the economy today, most of it is private. All of you in this room probably purchased something today. I really have no way of acquiring that information other than, catching you in the corner and asking this question. Maybe you reveal that to me. That type of interaction, if you want to maintain that type of interaction and use decentralized systems, you need to be able to enable this privacy, which is why we built the tokenomics the way we did and why we built the smart contract language the way we did.
Thanks, Ben. So I think Midnight might be the first chain that's ever been described as an onion, a banana, or a chicken McNugget. So
I think Ben's just hungry.
yeah, possibly. So outside of the food industry, and then this is for the entire panel, so anybody take this, please. So outside of the food industry, can you think about looking ahead, what kind of applications or industries do you think would benefit from the technology network that Midnight is building, this programmable privacy and the compliant privacy that we're bringing to the Midnight networks?
Stuart? Okay, I don't want to steal all their answer, but other than the obvious DeFi and ethical, I think the one that really excites me is the panel that we just had about AI. I think AI has already consumed every public data and is now going after our private data, and you got to ask yourself, how's that going to work? Well, there are some solutions like federated AI that pretty much just mean I give my personal private data to some trusted third party and hope that it doesn't get hacked or it doesn't get misused. And we're back to no better than where we were with Google or Amazon having all of our data. So I think with zero knowledge blockchain, we could enable a design where you can get the utility of private AI mining your private data without actually disclosing to the AI the actual data itself using an attestation where you get retained sovereignty but still have the utility. I think that's really exciting because it will make AI better without having the trade-off that we're worried about.
Dennis, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, I'll go a totally different direction. So what I think that these things, in addition to that and the food industry, what these things will start to enable is they're going to start to enable interactions where the interaction isn't necessarily human to human. It can be human to agent, it can be human to machine. And just think of what these things do for. So today, the load or the building here is buying energy from somebody that's delivered from a generator and works its way all the way here. There are lots of interchanges there, and there's lots of ability to put renewables in. There's lots of ability to put batteries in. That interaction crosses numerous boundaries where being able to understand what somebody's load is and being able to and what price they have is a competitive relationship, but you can absolutely do this with blockchains. You could do this with blockchains a while ago. You just simply need to be able to protect the information. So now we kind of unlock that space of being able to purchase energy. On a different spectrum, you can start to think of home health. You have devices in your home that you use for therapy. That device can be attached to you. You can have your prescriber give you a particular therapy that device delivers, which is paid for by your insurance company, which is delivered by a pharmacist. The number of people that are involved in that relationship and the actual therapy coming off of this particular device are capabilities that are absolutely showing up in the market. And the way that it's handled today, it's not quite a grease pencil, but it's pretty close. There's a lot of inefficiencies that could be taken out of the system. There are many, many, many examples in that space that I'd be happy to talk to anybody after the panel here. But I think we can grow both in the AI space, we can grow in the financial space, but we can also grow kind of in the industrial and the IoT space as well, because these agents are smart. They could do things for you, and you just simply need a way to interact with them and then pay for the services that they provide.
Thanks, Ben. So I think we're running out of time. So I just want to say thank you to the panelists here. They are the builders, engineers from Shielded who are building the Midnight Network. This week we announced and relaunched the network in terms of letting you know what it can do. You might have seen the buses going around Toronto. But we've launched the Midnight Foundation. I am president of the Midnight Foundation. If you're interested in growth, developer communities, and other things, on partnerships, please come speak to me. If you want to understand the technology and what it does, these are the brains behind this all. We've been building this for 6 years in stealth. We'll launch this year. It will come to you. We will give it away for free. We are going to make everybody want to come and use this technology because you will get it for free. You will receive access to this privacy capability. So if you're interested, you want to learn more, then speak to anybody at the panel, follow the networks, follow our social media channels. There'll be a lot more announcements. And look, I thank you all for your time today. Appreciate it.